Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Fence Movie Reviews. I am Adrian, joined by my co-host Rob and Daniel. And today we're going to be talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So Shang-Chi stars Simu Liu and Aquafina, and it is the latest installment of the MCU. And here we have Shang, who is trying to escape somewhat of his family, mainly his father's past and his father's legacy, just trying to live life on his own. And then certain events kind of pull him back in to the family. And now he's set on this quest to see what's going on with his dad and also how it ties him to his mother. Rob, let's jump right into it. What were your thoughts on Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings?
Man, it's gonna be hard for me to kind of be biased right off the bat and kind of not lean one or the other because it's this movie. I really enjoyed it. I felt it was a beautifully done movie.
Yeah.
The fighting, the choreography and the fight scenes, the movement of the camera, just the story overall. I was very I was into it. I was very pulled in. I've always I love Marvel. Marvel does this great thing, especially their kind of their very epic movies. The world's gonna end and we need this super team to team up. This
Yeah.
movie, there was still that feeling, but it didn't feel as big. It felt more
Yeah.
like the world was still in jeopardy, pretty much, but just in a different way. And it
But it
felt
was a little more contained.
yes, and I like that. And it what it
Yeah.
did for me, I felt like it was giving room for other Marvel stories that don't need to be the galaxies in dire stress and the world's gonna end. It felt like it gave room for other stories to be told in different kind of lanes, and everything doesn't have to be so just beyond spectacle. But I think just overall for me, the love story in this movie, the actors did an amazing job. The humor, I'm not always a huge fan of the Marvel humor, but I think in this movie they nailed it. And it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't over the top. It wasn't, jokes not landing. I think they did an amazing job with it.
Yes.
I have nothing. I mean, there's maybe one or two things that I would was a negative thing for me with this movie, but overall, I have nothing but high praise for this movie. I think they
For
knocked
sure.
it out of the park. I will say right now that this is probably going to be very high on the Marvel universe list as far as their movies for me.
Okay. Wow. That's high praise. Daniel, what were your thoughts?
I'm gonna, yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with Rob as far as like enjoying the movie. I think it's Marvel's best movie since Infinity War. I know that's a bold thing to say
Okay.
because
Okay.
Endgame.
Well, yeah, hold on, because let's see what came out since Infinity
Uh,
War. We had Endgame, Spider-Man, Far From Home,
and Black Widow.
um, Black Black Widow. Oh, you know what? And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, came out in between both Avenger films.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
So yeah,
okay, so there
so
you go.
I think it's Marvel's best film since Infinity War.
Okay,
I really enjoyed this movie. I was caught off guard in a good way as far as the story. I felt like it really pulled
yeah,
me in, and I felt like they did a really good job at building these characters and stuff. Because
definitely.
to be honest, as of late in the movies, there hasn't really been any really good character building. Like
That
how it
is true.
was, like how it was in the beginning, when in like the first phase, like how we we got introduced to like a lot of these superheroes like Tony Stark, Captain America,
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. After we got past those movies, is basically getting from point A to point B, which is Endgame, and So like I was really surprised about how good the story was. I really cared about the characters because coming into this movie, I just expected your cookie cutter Marvel movie, just like, there's a bad guy, we got to stop him and stuff like that. But there was way more to that, like as far as, like Shang Chi's father, and and I like how they did a lot, like there was a lot of flashbacks, and you get to understand why his father is like that, or like
Yeah.
and why the son is like that, and how his son has a really good relationship with his mother and stuff. So
Hmm.
like I said, like I really enjoyed that, and that's I feel like that emotional weight carried the movie,
Yeah.
because it could have been just like a throwaway movie, like, oh, they introduce a character and then they go on to the next movie. But this one, it really focuses on, I guess, the family dynamic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
um and like Rob said, the choreography is really great. I really thought it was awesome. Just the fight scenes and everything. One gripe I did have was the sister. I don't know. I just really, when she was first introduced, I thought she was cool, but towards the end, she was kind of like useless. I guess like she was kind of a throwaway character. Like I felt like they could have done without her. I thought it was one of those things they probably. I feel like they added into the story, like
Okay.
just like a female, I guess, like character. Like, oh, we just needed like another female character in there. But I mean, like overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Adrian, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so before I get into my review, I know in our last comic book film, I went off a bit on a tangent about the state of comic book films, which was
Are you gonna
in our
apologize?
suicide. No, I think I want to be a little bit more clear. So when people,
It's an
I,
apology.
yeah, pretty much. It wasn't so much that I was trying to say Marvel films were terrible. I was just trying to say more that they're entertaining, but they're not so much. Daniel, I think you used a good word, especially as of late. They're very much so cookie cutter, like especially in the last phase around end game, and they just tend to follow some sort of formula, and it's all about let's get to the next Avenger film. And so with this one, I like what you said, Daniel. It is a bit of a throwback to that phase one where there was character building, where there was um it was more self-contained, like what you were saying, Rob, where it isn't so much about the galaxy and the universe and the MCU as like kind of ties it down because the filmmakers have to tie it back into the MCU. It was cool to see a film that was more about the characters, and I really loved the family dynamic because it was interesting because there wasn't so much like an actual villain. I mean, the dad kind of is, but it's more about family conflict, right? Like the dad has, because even at in the climax of the film, there's this thing. I don't want to spoil too much, but even that is more he's driven by his love for his passed away wife, and so it isn't so much that he's trying to just take over the world. It's more about like he's doing something for the love of his wife. And so I really liked that whole dynamic. And again, you guys talked about it, the choreography and the martial arts. I mean, most recently that comes to mind, we had a film like Snake Eyes, which is a martial arts film, but God, it was so terrible with the shaky cam. Here, you get really good camera work. You can see every punch land. You can see every move, and it makes sense. And it has more impact when you're watching it. It's like, oh man, that looked like it hurt. So this, I think I really loved. You know what, the comedy, like what you guys said, it's not over the top. It doesn't break up a moment too much, like the way Marvel films tend to do. You have a serious moment, and then all of a sudden they just throw a joke in there, and that was going to be one of my main concerns because they had Aquafina in this film, and she's definitely known for her comedic stuff. And when I was kind of expecting her to have jokes and stuff like that, she does have those moments, but she doesn't do overkill. And so I really enjoyed her character as well, and the relationship between her and Sean, where they're friends. And the other thing I was going to say, I really like that they didn't have so much of they kind of allude to it where, her and Shung may have some sort of love interest, but it's not in here. They don't make that the focus of the film. And it's like, yeah, they're really close friends, but they kind of set it up to where they may or may not go that way. But I think it's cool that they didn't make it about like, oh, he has some sort of damsel in distress that he has to save and all that other stuff. It's more about just him, his father, and his sister, and dealing with the legacy of his mom, and you know, and all of that. So I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. And like what you guys are, kind of just to echo a lot of what you guys said, it is probably one of the best MCU films in recent years. So I'm guessing I know what your guys' verdict is going to be, but Rob, Daniel, let's start with you, Rob. What is your verdict?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and like I said, I wasn't trying to hide it. I'm gonna say get off the fence and check this movie out. I will say one small, not even issue, just something I noticed in the movie was kind of in the middle. It kind of, and I don't even want to say it drags or anything, but there's some story building in there. And I feel like it because we start off so intense, and it kind of like the story building kind of takes that middle part, and I feel like the movie kind of simmers down a little bit. But in no way am I going to say that's like a super negative thing. I just think I see what they're doing, but I feel like some people might think that's, you know, a negative thing. But overall, I love this movie. I walked out of this movie so happy, so excited. I wanted to text you guys and just be like, this is one of the greatest Marvel movies ever. But I didn't want to ruin anything for anyone because I seen the show before you guys. But yeah, so I'm gonna say get off the fence. Check this movie out. The choreography is amazing. The camera work's amazing. The cinematography in this movie, everything looks so beautiful. So this is, I'm going to say, probably one of Marvel's greatest movies that they've made to date.
Okay. All right. That's some extreme high praise. So, Rob,
Yes,
you love it.
Yes, I do.
Daniel, what is your verdict?
I think you all know. Yeah. So I'm gonna say get off that fence. Once again, I really enjoyed this movie. One thing I forgot to mention is the score. The score is probably, honestly, probably the best Marvel has produced. I really enjoyed the score, and you know, like
the
I said,
soundtrack was really good.
Yeah, like the cinematography, the action, and just like I said, like the whole story and the world building and the character development is definitely worth the watch. And if you guys are on the fence, I mean, you guys should definitely check it out. It's definitely a good movie and a good time. So yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'll echo what you guys said. You know, I'll try not to repeat it. But yeah, I would say get off the fence, check out Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, because it is refreshing. And again, like I said before, my gripe in the previous video that we did with comic book films, this was cool because it was different and it was back to character. And you know, it was also a celebration of the Asian community and the culture that they had there. And there's so much in this film that you can take home with you and enjoy and think back on. And yeah, I would say get off that fence, check out Shang-Chi, and have a great time at the movies. Well, guys, what did you think of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? Why don't you comment down below and let us know what you thought about it, and let's get that conversation rolling. Also, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends, and follow us on Instagram at On the Fence Movie Reviews.
And remember, we will catch you on the fence.